This podcast brought to you by Basecrete, leaders in waterproof bond coatings for the swimming pool and construction industry.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Pool Magazine Podcast. Today we're chatting with Ray Corral of Mosaicist. He's one of the top designers and installers of mosaic tile. I've interviewed Ray before for an article I wrote in Pool Magazine about the Howard Hughes pool he did, and I wanted to have him back on our podcast to chat about some of the other great projects he's been working on. It's a pleasure to have you with us today on the show, Ray.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Now, Ray, you're super well known within the pool industry, and you're a thought leader and mentor to guys on social media and at the trade shows. I saw you at the Southwest show. You were doing a tributary tile summit, and it's awesome that you guys can collaborate for the good of the industry and that you guys take time out of your schedules to teach and disseminate some of that knowledge.
Well, I was lucky enough to be invited to be a part of this tributary tile summit. I think it was hosted by Kurt Rapp from Tile Doctor, and I think he's the one that kind of actually put it together as well. And there was a couple of heavy hitters in this summit. You got people like Danilo, who's an artisan, also a mosaic artist, and also an installer. Very rare that you get artisans that actually produce their own mosaic artwork they design and also install. This is a lot of what we do as well, but we do it in the more of a commercial level. You have Jimmy Reed there as well, a lot of credibility, many years in the industry as a tile pool contractor that installing glass tiles inside underwater applications. And we had a couple of people, Tile Council of America was also there explaining how they scrutinize the industry to make sure that the products that are being distributed out into the United States are up to par, let's say. And I think David Knox was there as well. We had Lightstream's Tile, producer and manufacturer and creator that is also partnered up, I think, with Pebble Tech. And again, I don't keep up on all these other people, but definitely we were there to talk about design work and how we actually come up with designs for the swimming pool industry, which we believe we're the leaders in the industry right now, for sure, in the United States and even worldwide, with coming up with design work for the underwater applications and swimming pools. So we're very happy to share. We shared a very small part of our entire business, which is we are a design, manufacturing, and installation company. And we also collaborate with a lot of manufacturers and different installers as well. Danilo is one of them. We've been working very closely for a long time now, a couple of years already, which for us is a long time, on jobs that we, he's installing and we're working together, and we design, or he designs and we install, and we've been exchanging a lot of ideas and also business as well. And for the most part in the industry, a lot of the people that are involved with mosaic tile, we pretty much most of us all know each other, and a lot of us collaborate when jobs get too big and we work together. So it was nice to see all those guys.
Yeah, for sure. Getting back to education, I had a great builder, Lee Russell, on the show a while back, and we were discussing mosaic glass tile. And he said he'd love to be doing more of it in his market, but there are no subcontractors who really specialize in it. He said that they're simply unwilling to go for education and classes. And I was hoping maybe you could speak a little bit more on that subject.
In reference to what your other guest, Lee Russell, was talking about in bringing in, subcontracting the tile work that he would actually like to do more of, but he doesn't find it feasible, or doesn't, or cannot find the people, is a problem or a situation that there's very little apprenticeship. There's a lot of courses and a lot of people that do these weekend, presentations to show you how to use like the thin set or how to do this. Nobody really learns how to install this kind of stuff over a weekend. You basically learn from the bottom, working as a helper, all the way up on the actual, job site. And nobody really is promoting that. It's kind of like everyone's hush hush, type of, so this craft, really is very difficult for other people to take on and learn. And that's the reason why we have such little amazing tile setters in the entire United States. And, people have to, or if there are a lot of great tile setters, they're not really great businessmen. They're not promoting it. They're very hard to find. And for the most part, when a pool builder grabs somebody that has a craftsmanship, they just, keep them under wraps, pay them good money, and don't let them go anywhere else. So we're a big directory for a lot of installers throughout the United States and the world, and we do know a lot of installers that nobody really knows about, and we definitely collaborate with a lot of them and give them a lot of work and actually have them quote on installation jobs that we have, or we refer them to the pool industry. But again, a lot of times another drawback maybe Lee might have raised was not only has it gotten really expensive, which it doesn't have to be that way, but, and again, the reason why it gets expensive is you get people who are subcontracting out the work, and those installers are expensive as it is. So by the time it gets to the pool builder, they're just really super expensive. And then again, they take a long time, and they leave a very little profit margin for the pool builder, which is the end of the day, is the gatekeeper that's out there promoting glass tile. So a lot of pool builders, for the most part, get frustrated. And what they do is they decide that they're not going to promote it because it takes too long to finish their pools. It gets too expensive. The liability is very high. At the end of the day, if there's also a problem, they get stuck with the bill. Installers are very hard to reach, or they're not insured, or they're like, it's not my fault type of thing. And so that's what's happening. But us here at Mosaicist, we're trying to eliminate that problem by introducing high volume applications and one-stop shop. We provide our material. We also provide installation. We provide the warranties. Great profit margins for the pool builders, and that's the reason why we're so busy, and that's the reason why we have over 450 pool projects in the last 25 years that we have done ourselves with no failures. This is where we're at right now. So hopefully we'll be able to spread the message, and it doesn't have to be that way, unfortunately for Lee.
I mean, getting back to what you said, Ray, I mean, when you break it down to brass tacks, there's only really a handful of really highly qualified installers around the country that we see working on like the high end work. And you're one of them. I mean, we see a lot of the same types of failures on social media with folks who just aren't properly trained attempting some of these projects, and a lack of education. But you were saying the best way to get that is probably to work underneath a master craftsman and really learn the trade, right?
The only way you can learn, Joe, is through apprenticeship and an actual job site, because there's a lot of things that take place, like working with the materials out in the open, not inside a lab or inside a little studio or a warehouse. You have to go out there, work on it, work with big, large sections, areas, and then a waterline tile guy is not the same thing as a pool guy. The vision that I have is you help a lot of people make money with glass tile. They're going to promote you. And you do more glass tile jobs, and you start poking at the plaster industry. Now you're really making a dent. Okay, you teach more people to install, more people will promote glass tile. So the more of awareness there is glass tile in the United States, because right now is dirt nothing, is compared to other countries like Europe, Spain, Brazil. That glass tile is the way to go. Australia, you got to do glass tile pool. That's the first of choice. But here, it's the last of choice. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is it's too expensive. Very little people know how to do it right. No, huge liability, no money for the pool builder, which is promoting it and holding the flag at the end of the day. You know what I mean? All that, I'm changing all that. So for me, I see it as a really long term. So I can basically later on say Mosaicist Inc. is valuable. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I'm thinking promote more glass tile pools. The other guys are saying, "Ugh, there goes Ray again promoting another glass tile pool," or whoever is doing this marketing. Well, they're jerks or whatever, and they don't understand that I'm bringing more awareness to the industry.
It's yeah. I mean, homeowners dig it. Glass tile. It's a luxury, premium interior finish.
Yeah, right? Man. Because the reality is the pool industry. They don't really they don't understand that the industry in the United States, for the most part, and especially in the tropics, the outdoor industry is turning into another lifestyle. That first it started as the living rooms of the United States. Then the living rooms went to the kitchens. Then now the kitchens are going to the backyard, especially with the whole COVID. So now they're going to the backyards. And if you're still out there building a hole with water, you're missing the whole ride. You're out there and you're building the pool with water is the least. You're building an outdoor environment that has a kitchen and a bathroom and this for the adults and that for the kids and this for that. And that is where it's moving towards. I know if my guys teach other people, the more people that learn how to install, the more the mosaic business moves up. That's the reality of it. The more people there are out there that know how to properly do all tile pools, the more demand there will be for glass tile, and the more value my company will have. If you're a mosaicist for the most part is someone who manufactures mosaic, designs mosaic, and installs mosaic or distributes mosaic. So if you look at mosaicist in a dictionary, this is what you're going to get. You're going to be one of those three things, and you are a mosaicist. Now, back in the day, a mosaicist did everything. they manufactured. I'm talking about back in the past the 14th century and before. A mosaicist was a person who actually was involved in making the glass, doing the artwork, and doing the installation. A one-stop shop. One craftsman did everything for the most part, or has his hands on everything. Now, because the industry is all over the place, you got these companies based out of India. Very few of them coming out of Italy, even though they're manufacturing, they say out of Italy, but they're really coming out of India, Mexico also. Some manufacturers are still, we got one in Michigan, we got another one, we got some in California. But for the most part, that's what's coming into the industry through distributors. So the materials coming in then is being sold to the industry. Everything is pool tile these days because people want to sell the mosaic. And so they don't care about the application because it's up to the installer. They pitch it to the installer for the installer to, at the end, take the material and put it in successfully. But a lot of times the installer has no idea how the material was annealed, how was it prepared, if it's correctly mounted, that kind of stuff. So there's a disconnect in all that. So we are, more, like I said, a one-stop shop. We're much involved in the manufacturing process. We're involved in the design, the manufacturing, all the artwork, and we also install it. So it's a very different operation we have here that is not seen in the United States in the level that we're at right now. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but
yeah, you did a good job. I mean, what I'd like to talk about a little bit is, basically, I follow you a lot on Instagram. It seems like you do a ton of volume. You have a really tremendous following. You guys killing on social media. And one of the projects you posted that we're actually highlighting in Pool Magazine in our spring issue is this incredible beach entry pool that you guys did. And I know, that one, you've done a lot of terrific designs, but the reason I like this one in particular and wanted to showcase it is because of this kind of optical illusion effect that it has. And I literally had to do a double take when I saw it because I thought it was painted at first.
Yeah, you mentioned that. And it's funny when you mentioned that job, I'm like, wow, this is what he's looking at. You know what I mean? And it's one of those jobs. And the reality, I have to come and realize, that a lot of the simple things we do sometimes really grab a lot of attention, and our people are just taken back by it, which we take for granted these days because, we've done so many different types of designs, and what we think are amazing, some people don't really think. And what we think is amazing because the complexity of them, some people will never understand what it took to actually make them come about. So the job that you're talking about is we do, and again, every design that we're involved with is, for the most part, a lot of times we don't have our hands on the design. It's being influenced by the architecture or the homeowner or the area space of the pool, let's say. So a lot of times it's not really up to us. A lot of people, mosaicists think, sometimes they're over the top, but sometimes that's what the client wants. Or if the client wants a red pool, we give them a red pool. I promote a lot of jobs, but I counted over 450 finished pool projects. And out of that, and I would say most of them are all tile pools. And out of that, there's probably a good percentage that I do not promote because they're just horrendous pool jobs or designs that we don't like, the client, but that's what the client wanted. So, but coming back to what you're talking about is something that we do very few times a year, maybe one or two times. So we get these freeform pools, and the clients want an actual realistic environment. And so they have these, they have the landscaping, and they have the free form, the bridges, and they have all this landscaping in the middle of the pool. And they want to create this oasis type of scenery. And they want to get this feeling of when they're looking at outside their windows and what they're looking at. And they're coming in with ideas of coral reefs, fish, animals, because they're close to the ocean, or they're big in, or they're right off the water, or they're big in diving, whatever the case might be. They want a scenery. And we try to put together something that looks realistic. Now, we see a lot of these cookie cutter pools that they put these, the dolphins, swimming around a circle around a beach ball. And we see the crabs and the little turtles, and that's really great. And they come wonderful. You buy them and on the internet, or you buy them from the local distributor. And then, you put them wherever you want and you plaster around them. That's not what we do. When we put something together, we design with a whole entire idea of how the pool is associated with the home. Because the reality is, when people are building these things and they want these designs and pools, they really want they really are enjoying looking at their pool most of the time rather than being inside the pool. So we take in consideration all the angles of how the pool looks from the second floor, the first floor, when you walk into the pool, the wow factor, and also we start taking consideration the depth of the pool. A lot of them have a shallow area, which I'm going to go to in a bit, which is what you mentioned. And then it goes into this deeper area, and then they give us a list of these animals that they love because they pick them from our website, and then we start piecing them together to kind of make them come together. And we have books and books in a huge library on how animals come together and which ones swim together. So and also the depth of them. Then we tie everything in, we make it look realistic, and we tie in at the time that people are looking out their pools and the sun is shining, which is obviously 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12 noon. Where is the sun at this location? And we also start dropping the cast shadows so they're all in unison. And it's important that when we do these entries, some of them want these beach entries, and they want them looking like real beach, like you're walking in the sand. And I think this is what got your attention. And in the sand, you find sand dollars, shells, and sometimes you find a sea ray, a little baby sea ray or something, And at that time, we also see sometimes a lot of these people have a lot of bells and whistles, and they have these lagoon, this cascading waterfalls, and the water tends to move a certain direction. And when the water moves towards a shallow area in a certain direction, it makes a footprint of that direction on the sand. And this is what we take in consideration. So when we look at the pool, the sand looks like it's real.
Yeah, it has that great texturing effect with those ripples, man. You did a really good guy on that.
Yeah. Then that's what we specialize with. That's why people come to us. So we take that and a lot more. I can be here for a while and talking about what we do and the secrets of our design work. But again, just cover a little bit of why people come to us for design work and why we have such beautiful pools that look like completely custom, because we actually customize them.
Yeah, I mean, that particular job is very interesting to me in respect to the amount of detail that you went to get in and incorporate all of these artistic little mosaics that really comprise like a scene as a total. And it's really, all encompassing all over the pool, where it's not necessarily like a focal point of some of your other jobs that I've seen. This one, it's really, you use the whole pool as the canvas, and that's really impressive to me.
Yeah, what's really difficult is when you do a design, the closer if you study our designs, study and look how close they get to the walls. The closer they get to the walls, the more we have to take in consideration the actual measurements and everything, because for the most part, we are installing it. The majority of the stuff that we manufacture, and when it comes down to artwork, we get to fly out and install it. So there's a lot of pools with a lot of curves on the walls and a lot of different shapes. It's very easy for a designer to design something in a pool, like a circle in a large pool, and then have that manufactured somewhere else. But it's very difficult for a manufacturing company to design a design that hugs the walls and takes the shape of the pool, and the installer to put it in flawlessly. This is very, very difficult. So the closer we get to the walls, the higher risk we have of, or the smaller limitations. No, we don't have no space for mess ups. The smaller the design gets in the pool, the easier you can put it and play around with it. Just find your centers and lay it and drop it down. So I remember that there was a time that a very large manufacturer from Italy flew. The big guys flew down and they sat down here in my kitchen and I was wondering, like, what do these guys want to talk about? And these guys, I thought they were not mentioning like, oh, we want to sell you blue tile, or we want to go ahead and do some artwork or whatever. The only thing that they said in Italian with the translator is, who designed for you and who made this design? And they picked a pool that was very difficult to design because it had an odd shape. And I knew exactly where they were coming from. And of course, my question was like me, because I, for the most part, do the sketches. Since I meet with the clients myself, I'm the one that lays out the sketch by hand first. and then I go ahead and get my line drawers to go ahead and clean it up. So, this is the key. The key is once you're involved with the projects directly, and then you design with them, and you sit down with the clients, and you listen to what they want and the colors that they appreciate, that they want to have their pool looking, and then how difficult it's going to be to install it, and then leave a variance of difficulty for them to push and shove and whatever. You have to put a formula together, and that's the reason why you see these complete design on the floors jobs that we do, that you don't see other distributors selling, or you don't see them, other manufacturers overseas, you don't see them selling through distributors. It's very difficult to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I see it a lot in your designs. I mean, specifically, in the beach entry stuff, where it looks almost like a topographical map in the way it's planned out. Even as it gets to the built pool, all right, where you're paying attention to detail and like distributing like little pockets and little individual areas of sand, all right, to continue the continuity of that sand effect. It's really, it's that attention to detail that makes these kind of things stand out.
Yep, that's right.
We're a lot of the same groups on social media, and one of them is a group called Structure Studios 101 on Facebook that you put me onto. That's run by Pool Magazine op editorialist Corey Stanley and John Martise, another phenomenal designer. And I know you post your designs in their forum from time to time. You collaborate with some of the leading designers in the industry, like Ryan Hughes, who was in our last issue. What is your process like when you're collaborating with builders and designers who want to incorporate mosaic tile into their pool designs?
Well, for the most part, big shout out to CB Stanley and John Martise, because these guys, when I first started promoting years ago, I just, I've been around for a long time, but nobody ever knew who Mosaicist was with a company. And I just decided to just get serious about the business and start branding and start promoting. And then that's when everybody, and at the beginning, at the very, very beginning, when I first started opening the account, remember my Instagram account maybe is about 3.5 years old or 4 or something like that. I was already communicating with CB Stanley, because we come from the same mind process of creating and using technology to create and present. And honestly, my presentations, it's really what actually I don't want to use the word sell, but really is what starts the envision of how we get to do these jobs. So it's really important how we render and we show the client how we're even doing it. A lot of times we record the video of how we're putting it together, and we share with the client, and they love it. The clients just love the process. They like to know the process, and we're very transparent with them. I did a collaboration with John Martise and that for a job in California, and he came in and helped us with the animation and the 3D animation, which is very few companies in the world are doing this kind of stuff. So collaborating with these guys are great. We're always exchanging ideas, and then again, Structure Studios, that group that they're in, I always chime in and come in and read, because I get a lot of ideas and what they're doing. And it's always good that if you're in the industry and you want to dominate, you really have to learn everything about every single aspect of the industry. And that's the reason why I've been plugged in for so many years, trying to learn more about the industry and about everybody. I can learn about the plumber. I learn about, I go to different Facebook groups and I read and I learn and so on. So in regards to your question, so the way that we collaborate with designers, homeowners, and pool builders, let's say, on making a design inside a pool, it's a really, really good question. And we have it's very difficult to work with somebody who kind of knows what they want, but not really. Yeah, I got all this money, I know what I want. Client knows what he wants, but they don't know what they want. So design something. And we try to avoid this type of approach. This is not what we do. What we've done is I've used the Instagram platform as a gallery. So if you look through my Instagram gallery, you instead of my Facebook or instead of my website, if you look at the Instagram, it's a very easy flip. You scroll up with your finger on a phone and you start looking at pictures. And sometimes the people pick their colors of their pool through pictures and screenshots that they send me. And then I send samples, and I send, different samples of different lines and so on of what the pool would look like they'll match that picture they sent me with these samples with the water already finished. So it sends finished projects. And also, it's mostly also to get the client involved in design work and artwork. A lot of them, I would say 80% of my clients that want a glass tile finish that ended up with a design never wanted a design from the get-go. Never. They went and they studied my company, or the pool builder, designer, or contractor turned them over to my Instagram. And there they started looking at different videos and pictures of different things. And there is where the idea is born and the seed is planted. That, hey, I know I wanted cobalt blue, but how about something in the middle? I saw something in the Mosaicist Inc.'s website or on his Instagram. And that's where the idea first starts. So it's a tool that I use today, and it works great. This morning, I had a call from a designer in Fort Lauderdale. The builder is Van Kirk. And they said, I have a client, they want something in the bottom of the pool, they don't know what. And the designer is leading heading the project. Tell her to go to my Instagram. Went to my Instagram, made a copy of screenshots, and I can already tell the direction they're going in. And we're meeting next week to go over a design. And this does a lot of the work for me already. So that's the way that we actually start working to streamline and come up with clients that want to design. They use my Instagram, and we've done a lot of design work. Very few times we come up with brand new spanking new design, because we've done so many of them. But we're always looking for that one client that wants something that we've never done, because then we all start getting excited about having finally something. Because a lot of people look at our designs and like, oh man, it looks the same. The swirly, the Victorian lines and the swirly things, and they're all, Versace-esque type of stuff. So we get excited when we get these. We're always looking for these new clients that allow us to do something different. So it gives us a lot of diversity, and it keeps us on top of the game of the industry.
Sure. So you're collaborating with like great builders and designers like Ryan Hughes, Brian Van Bauer, and recognize the lead of the elites of the industry. You have already got those bases covered. I recently had Kelly O'Leary on the show, who's a great up and comer and a new builder that's getting some word of mouth. And I know you worked with him. I mean, who are some other new up and comers you're working with these days? Who are some folks on the rise and you're hoping to collaborate with more in the future?
Well, it's great that you mentioned Kelly O'Leary, because I really like this guy, and he's just a great builder. I met him first through Jimmy Smith, the photographer, and he's always been following us and for a long time, and he's always been really wanting to collaborate. And it got to a point that he did get a job that had they had the funds. They were a high-end project and a high-end client, and we worked with them with pricing to accommodate that. That first of all, he did well with promoting our product, and also brought us in and helped us. He actually was very hands-on and helped us. So we really enjoyed working with him and helping him build his brand and helping him build his business. And if we can do that, that's really one of our goals, is also to help builders build their brand, build their business. And the more high-end glass tile pools, the more they can promote it, and the more they can sell even higher finishes and higher end jobs. A lot of the new guys coming in, well, I'm from South Florida, so I deal with a lot of people from here. I've been lately working with a lot of jobs with Kiso Group. They've been around for a long time, but I always was surprised how they were doing some high-end jobs here and there, but they never reached out to me, and being that I'm local. But they basically are the owner there. His name is Hiroki, and real cool guys. They're here in South Florida. Another gentleman, also there's a guy, Caesar and Jeremy Gillen from Custom Pool Systems. They're also they've been around for a while, but they're also started custom pools, and they collaborated together, and we've been working a lot with them. I know the guys that are up and coming because they're in my area, but a lot of them that are outside of my area, I'm not familiar. I don't know if they're up and coming, but we sure are working with a lot of them. Again, we promote fast speed. We promote reasonable pricing, turnkey. And as that message continues to flow in the industry, a lot of people are taking note, and we get a lot of people emailing and calling us, a lot of inquiries all around the nation about our pricing, our turnaround times. What about the artwork? Who helps with that? How do we explain it to clients? We get that a lot from people we don't know who they are. But I guarantee you this: a lot of them are not these high-end superstar builders. They're not. They're on their way there, but a lot of them are not. Because for the most part, I know the majority of them, or I've heard of them. They make themselves known and seen. So because they're branding and they're promoting. But these smaller guys that are out there, we really have an open door for these guys, and we invite them to collaborate with us. And we definitely have the formula to help them get there.
Sure, you make them brand ambassadors of your company when you work with these new up and comers who are on the rise.
Yeah. We really don't. We want to find. It's great working with superstar builders. That's great, but it's sometimes even better working with people in the industry that are up and coming, and we really like, because we're still getting somewhere. We haven't gotten anywhere yet, and we're getting somewhere. We're still building our business, but we build it helping other people and getting clients what they want. And so we're very flexible. And if we can find, a couple builders in different regions of the United States that we want to go to, we will be flexible and work with them. And Kelly O'Leary was one of them. And, he's in the Houston area and the Texas area. We've been communicating with a lot of people in the Texas area, but he was one that we recently worked with, and we were very flexible with him, and we haven't looked back. It was a great experience working with him.
That's awesome. I mean, we've had the opportunity to chat about a couple of my favorite designs that you've done. The Howard Hughes pool was one we talked about. I know we talked about that red tile pool that intrigued me quite a bit, because you don't see that quite often. I mean, what is one project that you've worked on that's one of your own personal favorites?
So, my God, well, I mean, some of them are really, really difficult. Some of my favorite projects are the ones that clients let us do what we want. And because sometimes they want to stick their hands in it, or if they have like a colorist, and then they have two architects, and they have a designer, and then they have, then it gets really difficult. A lot of egos, and it doesn't allow us to be a little bit more free. And what the stuff that they come up with is just sometimes really terrible. They don't belong installing and designing for pools, but they want to be part of it. It's very exciting. They see what we do. They love it. They know we're the professionals, but they're like, but wait a minute, I'm going to go ahead and do this one myself. And when you try to explain to them the colors that they're using won't work with the color hue of the water, or reflection of the sky, or the architecture of the pool, then it becomes hard. It becomes more work for us. So some of the jobs, you mentioned the Howard Hughes job. That job is very close to my home. I live in an area that has a lot of historical homes, and so a lot of the homes here are over 100 years old, and they're protected by the city and designated by the city of Coral Gables. And it's frowned upon if you're going to get a historical house and put Mickey Mouse in the bottom of the pool. It's just not going to work. Or if you get something for Versace and put it in a historical home. So a lot of the ones that we've done here close to my area have allowed us to just say, hey, we want you to do something beautiful. And so a couple of them are the Wish job, which is a square rectangle pool. I'm not sure if you're going to show it as I'm speaking, but it's a rectangle pool. What's really beautiful about this little pool is such a square little pool that only fits inside a little courtyard. But they wanted something, and it's a historical Art Deco home. Since when have you seen an Art Deco design inside a swimming pool? Never. I've never seen one until now. So, and then we took this little, I always say this, that we took this little square pool and turned it into a jewelry box. And we work with the colors of the greenery, the bougainvilleas, and all these different things, and we put it together, and we use the reliefs of the actual elevation of the historical home, and we brought it to the pool. So now it tells a story. The owners are always talking about it. When you wake up in the morning, it's the first thing he sees when he looks outside. So it's really great. The Howard Hughes pool also is excellent. The only thing that's original from the house that shows a relief is the mantle on the fireplace. So we use that, and the owners just love talking about it. It just came out on TV recently. We're going to do a show now on TV too. That's going to be on cable channel, one of these cable shows, and they're going to come out and do a story on these three pools that I did. So the Howard Hughes one was one that was very difficult. It has two semi curves, like an hourglass design, and it gets really close to the walls. Remember, I was talking to you
Yeah.
about how close, and it's a free form. It's not a shape, it's a free form. So it was very difficult to accomplish. But that's one of my favorite ones. There's another one that we did. It was a collaboration with Reef Tropical Pools. And it was a client that wanted something in the bottom of the pool. Aquatic consultants designed it. But nobody really wanted a design in the bottom of the pool because they wanted that clean, modern look and real clean, all white tile, glass tile. But the owners wanted something. They were sold that they wanted something, but the house was all cubism. Like it was all cubes and boxes and different octagons and triangles. So we decided that we were going to make a Cosmati design that repeats itself on a floor inlay. A Cosmati is a family, last name out of Italy, that used geometric shapes, interlocking shapes that made a design. And they were the first ones, well, one of the first ones to practice these mathematical designs. Well, we did the same thing, and we brought their shapes of the home, of the pool, and we brought it together where we made a repetitive design. And then when we explained them what every design came from, they loved it. And then, not to compete with the modern, crisp, contemporary design that everybody wanted, we made the mosaic very, very light, like a light silhouette. So that then lets the architecture breathe, and is not like in your face design with like dark colors or whatever, and lets the pool spill over and lets the pool breathe, lets everything else have its time to shine rather than the mosaic being so prominent. So that's another one that's really cool. We got a couple of them, and we got a lot of them. I don't know what to tell you. Those are the ones that come to mind right now.
Awesome.
Go
So
ahead, wrap it up.
thanks so much for taking time to chat with us today, Ray. I mean, I really appreciate your insight and your knowledge, when it comes to mosaic tile. I mean, you're definitely a champ at that stuff. So thank you for spending the time with us today.
No, Joe, I just want to, definitely I got to thank you guys. You guys came on board in the industry. I've been watching since you guys first started. Me, my team follow you guys. We love the fact that you're out there getting content that nobody else is putting out there. You're looking for content that no one else is putting out there. You're really putting in the work. You can say journalism work, per se, but we can't wait to continue working with you guys and actually get more involved with you guys. So we follow you guys. I can't wait to keep hearing more from you guys, and thank you for the opportunity of having me.
That's all the time we have today. A huge thank you to our sponsor, Basecrete, the leaders in waterproof bond coats for the swimming pool industry. Please make sure to subscribe, and we look forward to catching you next time on another episode of Pool Magazine Podcast.